Hey folk, today we're going to be looking at an idea creation technique called SCAMPER. All right, this is the beginning of a series of different idea creation techniques or design thinking or idea building or whatever you'd like to call them. It's a series of different heuristics or ideas about how you can develop new ideas. All right. This one here, in particular, Scamper, is particularly good for developing already existing techniques. Already existing products. Okay, it's really good for riffing off something that already exists and developing something new from that. Okay, so let's get into it a bit. Clearly, each letter stands for something, so let's see how that works. Right, S stands for substitute. Okay, what could you substitute to improve your product? Right, so if we've got an existing product, let's think about a food one. I mean, it could do anything. M&Ms. All right, M&Ms are made out of a bunch of things. They've got some candy on the outside. They've got chocolate on the inside. If we were to go and substitute that chocolate on the inside for, say, peanuts, then we would have just developed peanut M&Ms, right? If we were to take that out and put in their biscuit, then we've got crispy M&Ms. If we were to take that out and then put in their licorice, we would have some unholy mess. But you get the idea, right? I'm sure somebody would like it. So what could you substitute to improve your product? That's the gist of S in substitute. So from substitute, we get to C, which is combine, right? This is where you get some really creative ideas. What could you combine your product with to improve or add value to it? If you had two things, let's stick with the M&Ms theme. If we've got some M&Ms and we've also got anything else, a chocolate bar, then you've got, I don't know, M&Ms chocolate, or you've got M&Ms and you've got ice cream, slam them together, combine them, then you have yourself some McDonald's flurry, right? That's what that is. Combining two different things to put them together. Sometimes you can get really creative and take things out of entirely out of their different spaces. So you could say, if I got my vacuum cleaner and I mixed it with a dirt bike, then you've got a really, really fast dirt bike vacuum cleaner thing, right? You can come up with something really totally different that is incredibly unique by doing some of this. Sometimes they're good ideas, sometimes they're not, all right? But this is all about coming up with new and fresh ideas that haven't been there before, and then developing and perfecting some of those ideas later. So the A in Scamper is adapt. What could I adapt to solve the problem or improve the product? All right, I'm just looking around at some of the things that we have here. I've got a light bulb, right? What could I adapt with this light bulb to make it work better? Could I put some reflective surfaces inside there so it rebounds the light back out again? Could we make it different colors? Could we put patterns on there so it shines those patterns out? What would happen if we made the plastic or glass on the outside of it slightly thicker? What would happen if we made it slightly thinner? What things could we just change there? Just make subtle changes to make the product better and improve it. That's where the adapt comes in. So I've done S, C, A, and now M. M is for modify. Modify often is just kind of place changed with magnify or minimize. With this, we're taking something and we're going, right, what element or part of this could we make smaller? Could we minimize? That could make it better. What part of it could we make it larger, right? It could be a physical thing where I've got my coffee here. If I wanted to make that handle smaller, could that make it a better product? If I wanted to make the handle bigger so I could really fit my whole hand in there and kind of hold it, could that make that better, right? What could you do to modify? What could you magnify or minimize to make it better? It doesn't have to be the whole product. It could be a part of it, right? An aspect of that product. Yeah. So we've gone over substitute, combine, adapt, minimize or magnify, and then with P we have put. All right. What is put? How could we put it to another use? I've still got my cup here. How could I put this to a slightly better use? Or not a better use, just to a different use, right? I could take it outside and I could put a plant in it and I can use it as a plant for a little cactus or something inside, probably for a cactus. Anyway, I could drill a hole in the bottom of it, stick myself a light bulb inside it, and turn it into a lamp case, right? This one here is not so much about improving the product, but it's finding another market for the product and making that work, right? People have developed things by designing something for one idea and then saying, right, what could I do with this? 3M glue is a famous example. He tried to make a glue, it didn't really work, so he ended up using it to make post-it notes, right? How could we put this existing thing to a different use that could add value? What else could you use it for? E, eliminates. The E is for eliminate, right? What could you take away from your product? When it comes down to the core element of what that means, it's saying, how could you simplify this product? What can we take away to make it better, right? Apple did this super well. They had the phone and then they developed it. They simplified it amazingly. They took away all of the buttons and then we had the iPhone, right? It was sleek, it was crisp, it was sold by the millions. And they did that not by adding new stuff necessarily, but by taking things away. If you've got an alarm clock, could you take away a whole bunch of those buttons and just simplifying it down to its corest essential parts? I'm a big fan of that one. All right. The next one is often quite confusing, depending on what you're doing. It is reverse. How could you turn it on its head, reverse it, spin it around, right? If we're wanting to make a complete 180 degrees, turn the whole thing inside out, what could it be? Okay. So if we've got, I can't really think of a good example right here. McDonald's actually did this one really well. Back in the day with restaurants, what you would do was you'd go in there, you'd order your food, you'd sit down, you'd eat it, and then you'd go back up to the counter and then you'd pay for it again. Then you'd pay for it at the end. That meant that you had 2 trips to the counter. That meant that you're using, making use of that cashier person twice, taking up a lot of their time. So they wanted to reverse that, so they spun it on its head and they said, instead of paying for it afterwards, you're going to now pay for it beforehand, and that made a phenomenal difference, right? That minimized by a significant amount the amount of time that they had to start paying their checkout people, service, McDonald's people, okay? And now that is a standard practice amongst all takeaway vendors, right? Because they reversed something, they spun it on its head, and they just gave it a shot and saw what happened. Okay, so that is that. So from there, we've got all of our elements of Scamper, all of our different spaces that we can then go and throw a whole bunch of ideas at it. And then we can look at what we've got with those different ideas and see what good we've got that we can use to develop from. Okay, this is a place about just getting lots of ideas, and from there, then people can go and develop them. All right, so that's Scamper. If you are if you're looking at this because you're in my class, there should be a video down there somewhere which will turn up, which will be your next part of work. That'll be the task that you need to do to go alongside this. Yeah, and that's what I'd like you to do there. Cool.